Good evening, and welcome to the first episode of Tomorrow's World Audit Time.
Absolutely.
I'm one of your hosts, Russell. Your other host here is Mark.
Hello, Russell. Hello, everyone.
And the idea of this new podcast, and we need more podcasts in the world, don't we? Is to look back on an old episode of Tomorrow's World and review it, basically, audit it.
Well, Russell, I believe we agree that we are firmly planted in the future, and we owe it, I think, to everyone who is listening, and even those who are not listening, to give a full audit of Tomorrow's World, because, frankly, they promised us a lot when we were kids.
They did.
And I don't know about you, Russ, but here I am in 2020, just to put a bit of context, and, some things are good, Russ.
Yeah.
Some things are good. And then everything else is appalling.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not even complaining about the lack of hover cars here, Russ. That's not even where I'm going to stop my complaint about the future.
Of course, Tomorrow's World was cancelled in, I think, 2003 or something like that.
We'll find out for a future episode.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
exactly. Yeah, but I mean, that suggests that was the end. That was the end of the past.
It was.
The end of the past.
Was it Francis Fukushima who talked about the end of history or something like that? Yeah. Well, the BBC took him literally.
Yeah.
No future, no history. Yeah.
So as you say, now we live in the future.
We do.
It's time to look back and see exactly how much of it lived up to their expectations, I guess.
Lived up to the hype.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Having already watched this episode, I think
It's not a great start, Russ.
Yeah, a little bit. A reason why I chose this particular episode is purely because it's the closest one to my birthday.
A very good starting point, to be frank.
I was born on January the 23rd, 1981. This comes from the day before, Thursday, January the 22nd, 1981. Although it appears to be the case that I was actually born sometime in the mid-70s.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It really does make you feel very old. So I opened there with the third of what was 6 different Tomorrow's World theme tunes. I would say that's probably the best Tomorrow's World theme tune, having listened to them all. I don't know whether you agree or not.
Well, I'm normally fully prepared to disagree with you, but I did also do my research and reminded myself of some of the other theme tunes, not least because I do remember that vaguely, but it's the next one I remember more iconically. I'm a similar age to you. So what I mean is, that was the one I remember as a kid in those years when you start watching kind of Tomorrow's World, when you're 7, 8, 9 onward. And I thought that would be the one that would kind of grab me and make me feel like I was that age again. And famously, I think the one before it also is probably more iconic. We'll get to that in a different episode, I know.
The longest running one.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think my feeling was that both the one you and I know well and the previous one, maybe the more iconic 70s one, they are so of their time that there is no sense of future in them whatsoever. They are so dated, so leaden, so weighed down by the era they were written and performed in, that this one actually has a kind of a timeless quality to it. I still think. I think I said to you this, I sent you a message. It's like, if you listen to the full edition that's out on YouTube, there's kind of a jazz funk breakdown in the middle. It's a real banger, and it's a good tune. No, absolutely, I'm fully prepared to agree that I think this is the best one.
Certainly, yes.
But I'm also prepared to disagree with myself in a future episode.
I agree. I think it manages to capture, especially that era's idea of the future as well. There's a certain there's a more science fiction-y.
There's a sadness to it as well. In a sense that a real vision of the future is full of promise, but it is also I don't know about you, but when I think of the future, I also think of how old I'll be. And frankly, this age of my life, in the thinking about. I'm in the middle of a thing at the moment where we have to think about 10 years time when I'll be apparently nearly 50.
Yeah.
Which is a horrible thought. It's like, to me, the future now is still full of promise, remains full of promise, but also has a kind of a melancholy to it.
Yeah.
And I think that tune captures that quite well.
Do you want to hear some interesting things about it?
I would love to hear some interesting things about it.
Composed by Richard Denton and Martin Cook.
That is very interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd never heard of them. I mean,
No.
I'm a bit of a TV theme tune fan, so
Yes.
but I'd never heard of these fellas. But it turns out that a number of notable theme tunes from that time for TV series such as Hong Kong Beat.
Okay.
Diamonds in the Sky.
Oh! No.
Quiller, Q-I-L-L-E-R.
No.
And The Great Egg Race, which I do vaguely remember The Great Egg Race because that was some sort of children's science program.
With, what was his name? The guy with the hair?
Heinz Wolf.
Heinz Wolf, yes.
Yeah, so I have very vague
okay, I
memories
remember
of
that. Yeah, okay. That's a career, isn't it?
Yeah, but the theme tune to Hong Kong Beat,
Yes.
which apparently was a very popular series at the time. I've never heard of that.
No.
But the theme tune to it stormed to number 25 in the UK chart.
Really?
Yeah, you want to hear a bit of it?
I do, absolutely.
It's not bad.
It's Pink Floyd, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, a bit too Pink Floyd, actually. And I've heard it, putting my legal cap on. That's pretty good. No, I've been to Hong Kong with us several times.
I mean, also for the era, you would expect them to put some racist
I was about to say, I am
of the like in there,
gobsmacked.
wouldn't you?
This is really good, actually.
Yeah.
Does it go anywhere?
I have to admit, I didn't listen to the whole of it. So, although
Fair play.
they're no Ronnie Hazelhurst or the like, that's still pretty good output. I don't know where they went after that. Probably died.
Well, they're probably...
Well, maybe they just earned loads of money for this Royals World theme. So that's the theme tune out of the way.
Absolutely.
So on to segment 1.
Yeah, I think we should, Russ. What a great place to start.
Right, I finished laying this red carpet for our very important visitor tonight. Come on, Marigold. Don't be shy. Marigold's a particularly fortunate cow because she's one of the first in this country to have her very own fitted carpet. Come on now, try it. Come and see how comfy it is. Her choice is the ultimate in luxury, cream fitted carpet. No doubt because it blends in so well with her coffee-coloured upholstery.
Our first, what would we call it? Segment. Our first segment
yeah.
of the show.
Yeah.
We open with the incomparable Judith Hann. I would say the backbone of Tomorrow's World, the longest-serving presenter of all of them, and she very quickly introduces us to
Marigold,
a cow.
Yes.
A dangerous.
Have the BBC not learned?
For a live show, such as
Yes.
Tomorrow's World, bringing a cow on board. Although you start to think that maybe it's deliberate now because that famous sort of elephant incident, the Blue Peter,
yeah.
they actually kind of want that to happen. Well, I suppose it couldn't go viral, could it? Not in 1981, but
No, that's true. But it would have been, speaking of backbones, it would have been the backbone of every kind of Christmas clip show,
Yeah.
every
It'll be all right
Dennis
on the night.
Norden
Yeah.
kind of, yeah. A reference for the kids.
yeah. So yes, so Judith Hann brings in Marigold and attempts to explain to us why it would be better for a cow to be raised in a shed on a rubber mat, almost like a memory foam mattress type affair, rather than bare concrete covered in its own shit.
I suppose when you put it that way, it just kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah. My issue with the segment was that, I don't know, like, I remember Tomorrow's World being exciting and being full of promise and hope. And Marigold looks delighted. I'm not robbing Marigold of her dreams. She looks thrilled.
Yeah.
With her fabulous, powerful knees.
And her beautiful coffee-coloured upholstery.
Upholstery, yeah. Now, I did have an issue with that. I did have an issue with the idea of right in the cow's ears, describing their actual skin in the context of how it's going to look great in your front room. That seemed insensitive, I thought.
Although Han was uncharacteristically dressed up as some sort of cowgirl.
She was.
So maybe she genuinely was like.
Oh yeah, no, I suppose, yeah, absolutely. Maybe she really was, yeah. And to be fair, Marigold is not the biggest cow, so I would imagine you're talking about like a stool or an armchair, really, aren't you?
Yeah, what are they called? Not Turkmenistan. What are they called? No.
An Ottoman.
Ottoman, that's it. Yeah, an Ottoman, something like that.
An Ottoman, yeah. Or a small chaise lounge.
Yeah.
I didn't really like that, to be honest. And I was also fascinated by she says straw bedding can be an embarrassment. And
yes.
I really believe it begs the question: to whom is that embarrassing? Is it embarrassing to the cows? Are they ashamed of their straw bedding? Are they ashamed of their low stock in life? Is it embarrassing to the farmers who have to explain to their neighbours? I genuinely, to whom is it embarrassing?
I would say that having slightly read up on
don't spoil it.
Cowshed flooring, but having slightly read up on cowshed flooring, for this episode, not as like something I generally do, there is a problem with, and I sort of illustrated it with that VT of a giant thing sweeping away.
It's kind of like this mechanical chain system that's pulling along, kind of
the slurry.
Yeah, it's pulling along. It's
so
a lovely image.
Yeah.
And by the way, not the worst image in this show.
No. So basically, the straw just would block that out. So it's actually
the idea
of embarrassment is that, like, it's blocked the toilet, I guess. Really, sort of thing.
Yeah, okay, that is embarrassing. Yeah, right, okay.
Do you want a couple of Judith Han facts?
I do. Actually, I do. I really do. Yeah.
So Judith Han was born on the 8th of September 1942 in Little Over Derby.
Little Over Derby?
Little Over Derby.
Yeah.
Her dad was a Derby County footballer called Ralph Han. You heard of him?
No, I haven't. I'm sorry.
Football,
I do like football, but
just don't remember obscure footballers from the 1920s.
About 30s. Derby County specifically, yeah.
She has a BSc in zoology.
Oh.
I also managed to find out that she had her own website. It's beautiful. I'll show it. Bring it up for you. Bring it up.
Okay, please do.
JudithHan.co.uk. Purely a one-page website.
Yeah.
It's just basically a CV. She's a TV presenter and broadcaster, acclaimed journalist and writer, after-dinner speaker, conference facilitator, and motivational speaker. Would she be motivated? I don't know.
What does she depend?
I mean, she's not motivated farmers to buy rubber mats for their cow sheds. I can reveal.
You can reveal that to me. Thank you. Yeah.
But what I did like on this page was something that we would write in like our
a national record of achievement.
Yeah, something like this, right? Yeah. Right, because this is absolutely shameless, right? Judith has considerable medical knowledge after presenting most of tomorrow's world medical items, and was fronting the BBC One programme Watchdog Health Check.
Wow.
So presumably she could swan into any hospital, start diagnosing people.
She must have had a busy few months with COVID here, hasn't she? Yeah. Wow, that's astonishing.
Yeah.
And it looks like she has her personal phone number there as well. Okay.
Yeah, the BT Internet address.
I mean, I have to say, if I saw her, I'd be delighted to see her.
Oh yeah.
I do wonder, like, how motivational she'd be. But I'd be thrilled, and you'd be thrilled. But I do wonder if it's an age thing. Like, if you're 27, is Judith Han going to wow you at a conference?
I was just thinking. I wonder how much.
Go on then.
I wonder how much it costs to hire her. We could get her on the programme. I mean, we've got her phone number.
We do. We can text her later.
That definitely is a mobile, isn't it?
Well, let's wait until we have as many as 3 episodes under our belt before we start trying to get guests in.
Yeah, she might be our great white whale.
White whale, yeah, absolutely. Okay. The others they feel achievable, but Han always off in the distance, just brilliant.
The other note I made was she's the Ripley from Alien of the Tomorrow's World Cast.
Very good.
Because this photo here, in the Alien films, there's always like those photos. There's like crew photos on computer screens.
Yes.
And I swear it's that. Ripley looks just like that.
Yeah, I get that. I suppose she's also the lead guitarist of the Queen of the Tomorrow's World Cast.
Yeah. We make those comparisons every week.
Yeah, or the landlady from the Queen's vehicle of Tomorrow's World. Yeah, okay. I see where you're going with that. Yeah. Okay, yeah. That feels like it has legs. We'll keep that in.
back to the rubber flooring
Yes.
now. Do you want to know more about rubber flooring, Mark?
If it's funny and interesting, I do.
Oh, well, no. I didn't know it had to be that.
Okay, I'm excited. Go on, no, do tell me.
So it turns out there are lots of people that offer rubber flooring for
Yes.
farms. So, but this is 40 years later,
Yes.
and they're still talking
Don't
about.
say that out loud.
Sorry, so 39 years later,
Yeah.
but they're still talking about it as if it's
The future?
some sort of brand new idea. My instant theory being that it's because farmers are cheapskates and don't really care about animals. That none of them have got it. None of them
They
got
never
it
cared to
installed.
bother doing anything.
Yeah, but so it is something that is still available.
Mm-hmm.
Loads upon loads of websites explaining why it's beneficial. In much the same way as Judith, all saying things about fewer bacteria,
Good for their knees.
good for their knees,
Absolutely. Warmer.
all these things.
Yeah.
Yes, I found a really good scientific study from the Norwegian University of Agriculture, or sorry, Swedish, sorry.
Oh yeah.
And this is a proper scientific study, and it
wow.
opens with a photograph. A photograph of a cow with a thought bubble above its head,
Yeah.
thinking of a trampoline and a question mark.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so this study is the effects of rubber.
Pernilla. I love the name Pernilla.
Pernilla
Norberg.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The effects of rubber alley flooring on cow locomotion and welfare.
Cow locomotion and
by
welfare.
Norberg.
Did you read it?
No.
You don't need to. The picture's there. It says you everything you need to know.
I did skim the abstract.
53 pages.
I skimmed the abstract.
Oh, in cooperation with De Laval. Do you think they're a rubber floor company?
But it might be.
I've said too much. I feel like I'm casting aspersions on Pernilla Norberg's work.
The great thing about scientific papers,
Yes.
I will say, is that they tell you everything you need to know in the abstract.
Yes.
If only newspaper articles are like that. or even online articles, where they stretch everything out, and you have to.
Yeah.
Well,
hang on a minute. It says us. We are already 15 minutes. We're barreling along to an hour and a half.
But anyway, but the interesting thing is that the hoof of the animal throughout this is described as the claw.
Oh, look at that! Yeah, the results revealed a negative effect of claw trimming.
So I think that the Swedish word for hoof is claw.
Okay, cool.
Right.
Yeah.
That was one thing I learned from it. And the other thing is that it's quite horrible. It just mentions lameness, poor locomotion.
It's a severe lameness.
As he said, claw trimming.
Yeah.
What was the other bit?
Hair loss on the hocks was the most common hock injury.
Hock ulcers.
Hock ulcers. Oh.
You don't want a hock ulcer in your dinner, do you?
I don't.
You do not want I mean,
Ooh, in my dinner. I was supposed to say I didn't want one at all, and now you're inviting into my dinner? No, I don't, Russ. No, I don't want that.
No.
Social grooming behaviour was significantly more common in cows on rubber. Okay, brilliant.
Sounds a bit kinky.
It does
doesn't
a bit, doesn't it? Well, as long as it's consenting, that's okay. But milk production was not affected by flooring, possibly owing to differences in feeding system. That sounds like the deal breaker for most farmers in most places, doesn't it?
So that's it, I guess, for that. I mean, as far as that segment goes, the technology exists.
Yes.
Has done for 39 years.
And has constantly wowed farmers as the future for the last 39 years. Yeah.
It's constantly wowed the people that sell it and people...
Yeah.
With a interest in cow welfare, has yet to make it to the world of farming. I presume there's probably some nice farmers, maybe in Norway or Sweden.
Yeah. Well, they're good over there. They're just good people.
Steaks that are cheap enough for school dinners can make mealtimes pretty tough going.
I think they deliberately butted our cutlery here.
Only the best quality beef will ensure a tender steak, and that's expensive. The other reason steak is expensive is that only 10% of even the best quality beef carcass can be used for steak. There's plenty more good meat there, but it's so full of gristle, it's really only good for stewing or making mince and sausages. Well, that was the case until this meat processing company invented a de-grizzling machine. It works on the principle that lean meat is much softer than gristle. At a carefully controlled rate, chopped up chunks of grizzly meat are pressed into a sieve. The lean meat is forced through the sieve, and the gristle comes out the end. The lean meat isn't minced, so it comes out in strands that retain a chewy, meaty texture. And the gristle, once chopped up, is perfectly edible and full of protein. These will now be the raw materials for a new kind of meat that's been specially designed for steak lovers. The new meat is formed under great pressure while being extruded from a sirloin steak-shaped mould. The lean red meat is compressed and coated with fat that's been mixed with some of the ground-up gristle. These meaty slabs, once frozen solid, can simply be sawn into steaks. They can be cut to whatever thickness you want. They'll have no bones, no gristle, and cost just over half the price of traditional steak. But the real test is taste.
So we've got a panel of experts from Holyrood School in Chard to tell us what they think.
It's good. No fat, no gristle, nothing. This is perfect.
Is it tender then?
Yes, right.
Andrew, do you reckon you found the perfect steak?
No,
Oh, why not?
it's not chewy enough and it doesn't last very long.
Well, no, you seem to be getting into that quite well. What do you think, Susie?
I think it's lovely. There's nothing wrong with it at all.
Nothing wrong at all. The perfect steak then?
Yes.
I have to say, Mark, obviously when I first watched this episode, there was that opening segment. I thought,
Oh, bollocks.
Yeah. but then this second segment, I thought, oh, we're onto something here. this absolutely astonishing piece of BT. Well, what can we say? I mean, first of all, it goes straight from a segment about cows, welfare, to a segment about mincing them up and feeding them to the masses.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, not an accident.
No, not an accident at all.
They thought they were very funny.
Would be good if, like, Judith Hand actually got pushed to the cow on screen to the sound of a mincer.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm assuming that's the noise they make.
So it's the brand new invention, extraordinary new invention of a machine that essentially minces up the parts of cows other mincers can't reach and converts them into
food suitable only for school children.
Yeah.
Do you remember? So you were born in 1981. I was born in 1980. Yep. Do you remember having steak for school dinners?
No, although I never had school dinners. I only ever had a packed lunch.
I think I was similar.
But no, there was never steak. I know there was never steak. If there was steak on the menu, maybe I would have had school dinners.
Of course you would have done. This idea astonished me from the off. This idea that, well, the problem with steaks for children's school dinners is that, you know what, they're a little bit too chewy. It's like, I can't imagine. No, I don't remember steaks at all.
No. It would make more sense if it was like a bunch of burly workmen or something like that. Or
whatever, you know. But
I mean, they can have like a group of chefs.
Shockingly, there is no one on that panel of food tasters who I would say they may have all become chefs, but they are certainly not at that point in any way, I would say, suitable to decide the quality and taste of, I'm not going to call them steaks, of what they were fed. And for the sake of, well, earlier I alluded to the fact that seeing the slurry, the effluent, the fluid effluent from the floor of the cow shed, kind of pouring its way down the floor, was not the least appetizing thing in this episode. Let me explain to you, Russell, let you be in no doubt that it is the imagery of the extrusion.
Yes, it's the extrusion
of what can only be described, well, would you call it emulsified meat that has been compacted with a layer of glistening fat.
It's been deep grizzled.
Of course. I'm so sorry. There is terminology, and we should use it. Yeah. It's grizzled.
It's officially a deep grizzling machine.
Yeah, a deep grizzling machine. Yes, of course. I'm so sorry. I feel like a fool.
Yes, no, that extraction. Do you remember that extrusion? Sorry, reminded me of. I don't remember, but in the old dog food adverts, they don't do it.
Oh, you're right.
Like your pedigree chums or whatever. Yeah. It would show them. It would show the can being lifted. Yeah. And the meat would slide out in one piece. I mean, as if they, I don't know, people watching aren't going to get anything out of that. Are they trying to appeal to the dogs themselves?
I don't know. They don't do that anymore, as you rightly pointed out. No.
But that's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, it's difficult to explain how unpleasant it is to watch. I don't know, where are they eating? It looks like they're doing it across Channel Ferry.
Yeah,
it's the only imagery.
It's a windowless room, isn't it?
It's a windowless room, or like the blinds are down, but all the windows strangely have curved corners, which reminds me of a ship. I don't know where they are. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. They don't explain. I don't know. It's just weird.
Yeah, they're the kids of. I wrote this down.
No, they are from a specific school, aren't they?
The Holyrood School in Chard.
Yes.
Chard, that's down West Country, isn't it? Chard.
I didn't look it up, Russ.
Ironically, chard is a vegetable.
Yes, it is. Which, to be fair, none of them look like they've eaten recently.
No.
Much like no one did in the 80s.
Well, this is the other thing. This is, I would say, this incredibly bleak looking. It looks like something from a spoof of the 1970s sort of thing. Like,
yeah,
it's a very washed out sort of image.
Yeah,
everyone looks unhealthy and
like,
poor.
And again, a reference for the kids, like whatever BBC4 re-show Threads. It has that kind of washed out, grainy kind of quality to it.
Almost Soviet propaganda film sort of. You can imagine them, visiting the central meat processing plant.
Potemkin steaks.
Yeah.
Dished out to all the cheering masses. Also, sorry, I do love it when food that is being offered to me is described as perfectly edible.
Perfectly edible. Yeah.
That's a lovely, two lovely words to see at the start of any sentence describing food you may consume.
Actually, we need to mention the presenter. So the presenter.
Oh yes, of course.
She's listed in the credits as a reporter, unlike the other.
Oh, interesting. Oh, she's out because she's out and about. Yeah.
So her name is Sue Ingle. I don't know if she's related to Percy Ingle of the bakery fame.
Sadly, they're closing there, Russ.
Notably, the Sue is spelled like the Sue in Sue Pollard. So
Classic,
no E at the end.
Yeah, we don't need it.
No.
It's unnecessary.
What's the future?
Absolutely.
You don't need superfluous.
It's a hover E, and it's all there in the distance. You don't need it.
Yeah. Born on April the 23rd, 1955, which is also St George's Day, of course.
Of course it is, yes.
And the birthday and death day of Shakespeare.
Yes, it is indeed.
Maybe she's
a big day for a lot of people.
I wonder if you were, EDL or Brexit supporter, she might be your favourite presenter just purely because of that.
She may well be, Russ. Only, well, no. Wouldn't they prefer it if she was born on, was it the 8th of April? Isn't that Hitler's birthday? Something like that? I can't remember.
Maybe.
Yeah.
She, much like Judith Hand, has her own website. It's better than Judith Hand's website, to be honest.
Yeah, cool.
Presumably because she's younger, she has slightly better handle on
look at that.
Sue Ingle Media.
Holy crap.
Creating media opportunities.
That looks like my wife's dad, my father-in-law.
Oh, really?
I'm going to take a picture of him because that is uncanny.
Well, it might be him.
Could be David Williams. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, so she's a media trainer these days.
Yes. Oh, there's tabs to click.
Yeah.
I don't know about
courses, facilities, clients, all sorts. She's barely done any television since Tomorrow's World Day. She presented between 1989 and 1984. A couple of appearances on Blankety Blank.
Oh.
That sort of thing. Nothing.
Yeah.
Record breakers.
Oh,
that
okay.
sort of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
But
well, it's good money in media training.
Yeah.
Yeah, well done her.
But I've found that tends to be a thing with most Tomorrow's World presenters. Do you think of them? What else did they do?
Don't want to do? Yeah,
Judith
no,
Hand,
absolutely.
what other TV stuff she been in? Howard Stableford, what other TV stuff she been in?
Well, we'll find out in some future episodes, Russ. Come on.
It just seems like Tomorrow's World.
A bit of a cul-de-sac, a career cul-de-sac for...
Yeah. You'd think it'd be a stepping stone to bigger things, but, Anyway, what I was going to say about old Sue is that she can't pronounce the word gristle, can she?
No, so, consistently she cannot.
I don't know whether that's part of her,
In fact, Russ, put it in right here.
Grizzle invented a de-grizzling machine and gristle. Chopped up chunks of grizzly meat, and the grizzle comes out the end. And the grizzle, once chopped up, is perfectly edible and full of protein. The lean red meat is compressed and coated with fat that's been mixed with some of the ground-up gristle. They'll have no bones, no gristle.
But, media training, I hope that she's, improved that since...
Yeah. I hope there aren't many interviews that are purely based on the word gristle.
Probably not mentioned as much these days.
No,
it
very rarely comes up. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. In fact, grizzle might come up more than...
But yeah, so here's I think it's a top 10, maybe, I'm not counted, of my favourite quotes from Sue.
I'm listening.
From this VT. Yeah. She starts off by calling it grizzly meat. With a chewy, meaty texture. The grizzle, once chopped up, is perfectly edible and full of protein.
Perfectly edible.
Yeah. These will now be the raw materials of a new kind of meat that's been especially designed for steak lovers.
Yes, who famously like steak, which is actually a meat you can get from cows. Sorry, carry on.
which extruded from a sirloin steak-shaped mould.
Yep.
It's more of just more of just an oval,
It's
isn't
just
it?
an oval. I mean, I think that she's really bigging it. Like, no, it's just the shape of the tube. Like, it's no more than that.
Mixed with the ground up grizzle, meaty slabs.
Meaty slabs.
Simply be sawn.
Yeah, absolutely. Like all the best meat. Yeah.
As a man pushes the extruded column of meat into a bandsaw,
Yeah.
and they come just falling off the production line.
As meaty slabs.
Yeah, and then obviously subsequently one of the children, after tasting it,
Critiques it.
Well,
Yeah.
there's a number of critiques from the children.
Yes. In general, they're positive.
Yes. One of the positive ones is, this is really nice or something like that. It has no grizzle in it.
Yeah.
They've literally, if they don't just told us that there's loads of grizzle in it.
It's completely grizzle. Yeah. It's grizzle as far as the eye can see.
So that's him, Paul.
Yeah, that's true. Well, classic steak lover.
Yeah. But obviously my favourite of the kids is a little red-headed kid.
Yeah.
Something the rebel of the bunch, I think.
Looking for airtime. Yeah.
Who
Luckily
complains,
VHSs weren't available then, so he hasn't recorded it.
who complains that he does not a big fan of it. He complains because it doesn't last long enough.
Yes.
As if the chewiness of meat and the length of time that it lasts is
The only judge of the quality. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
his parents are serving up old boot leather.
Yeah.
For dinner.
Clearly. Or boots, in fact.
Tuck it into it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here you go, Andrew, you whingy fucker. Yeah, go on. See how quickly you can eat that, you little... Huh? It just, the whole thing made no sense to me. It made no sense to me that apparently we were feeding steak. I mean, as I joked to you, it's like, oh, you know, Thatcher, milk snatcher. I didn't realise she stole our steaks as well. It's like, is there nothing left that you wouldn't give us? I truly, like, I showed this to my sister who's 10 years younger than us. She's not even 30, a young slip of a girl. And she was, to say the least, she was disgusted by what she saw. And she was right to be disgusted. The whole thing was horrible. Like, there's no redeeming quality to, I don't know. The idea that was somehow an amazing new technology.
Yeah.
I'm not denigrating it. I'm sure they perfected it subsequently because couldn't have made it worse, I suppose. But no, I honestly, I was flabbergasted. I'm truly shocked because again, like you, I watched the first segment. I thought, oh, this is going to be a slog. And then the magical steaks turned up. I was like, oh my god, what the hell? What you know how it was like the past is a foreign country.
Yeah.
But it's one we used to live in. And like this means nothing to me.
I suppose. I mean, and you also think, is this entertainment? But
It's
then
I didn't even think of it that way.
But then I was thinking, you know, that Inside the Factory program exists.
Oh, it's very popular.
That's very popular.
Yeah.
So I suppose this is
It's
like
true.
a forerunner to that, really.
Yeah.
And actually, I was also thinking that.
Sorry, there was one thing.
Yeah.
Brutally honest. Like I don't know if people would be comfortable seeing how some of their processed food is made. And I can't imagine any factory you talk about inside the factory. They wouldn't go in and say, "Oh, look, here's your delicious extruded meat." They just wouldn't because people would be put off. It's like
they would hide all the grotty elements of the process, wouldn't they?
They would.
Than having graphic close-ups.
And you know what? We'd all be happier as a result. Nothing about that segment made me happy. It certainly didn't make me hungry. Oh no, that's not true. I would have tried them at the end. I'm not a Philistine. I'd have given it a go.
It didn't look too bad when they were cooked.
No, they were cooked nicely, but they were cooked in the Donald Trump,
George Foreman type.
Yeah, absolutely. But also like they were well done.
Yeah.
Which is they're very on brand for 1980s. I can't imagine anyone in the 1980s kind of, that would have been French foreign muck if you had anything other than well done.
Exactly, yeah. And I don't think you can do something
steak,
full of grizzle.
chip, ketchup.
I don't think you can do anything
peas.
full of grizzle rare anyway, can you?
No, but fat is important though,
Good point, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, not to rare, but like to like medium. You want the fat to melt and it's full of taste, Russ. Especially when it's kind of added to an extruded layer of meat and just glistens. It's like translucent fat on the top. I don't know why they even bother putting it in.
No.
Why did they put the steak? Did they put the fat in only to make it look?
It made it look like
more like a
steak.
steak?
Yeah.
Anyway, no, actually, I have to say I do admire the honesty.
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we are far removed now from our processed food and how remember how upset people were when they found out their chicken nuggets were filled with that pink stuff. Famously, no. Other than that, I was shocked. I have to say I was shocked. Mostly by the fact that apparently kids in the 70s and early 80s were being fed steak all the time.
Yeah.
Steak of such high quality that they preferred extruded meat. No, sorry, extruded grizzly meat slabs. So, you know, maybe I shouldn't be too concerned about what I may have missed out on.
So, what about this process? I would say it does still. It was a winner and does exist. I mean, you can go pop into any branch of Iceland and get yourself some extruded meaty slabs sliced into things.
Yes.
So I imagine this was probably the forerunner of the famous Bird's Eye Steakhouse grills, which you may remember.
I do remember them. Yeah.
Will it be chips or jacket spuds? Will it be salad or frozen peas? Will it be mushrooms, fried onion rings? You'll have to wait and see.
From the Bird's Eye Steakhouse Lean Juicy Steakhouse Grills, pure ground beef that you cook like a steak and serve like a steak. What'll you give your old man with his steakhouse grill?
Hope it's chips. We hope it's chips.
Beef grills and lamb grills. More sizzlers from the Bird's Eye Steakhouse.
But I'm sure they're lovely. I don't remember ever having one, but do you know what? It's distinctly possible I did, and I'm sure I enjoyed it.
Well, I mean, you famously love cheap burgers, don't you?
Really do enjoy cheap burgers. The cheaper the better. So I do like expensive steaks, though. I am a man of a wide spectrum of taste. Cheap burgers at one end, and I like from a van, like cheap, real nasty cheap. I'm disappointed if they cost more than like 80p each. I do like cheap. You are correct, but I do like expensive steak. So, but I'm sure they're lovely. I really do actually. But I'm also sure they're not fed to school kids.
No. Not
and now for other reasons, not just expense, but probably because of, certainly around here, where I live in Hackney, Russ, and where you live in Islington, it's not the done thing.
Blooming Jamie Oliver's fault.
Oh, goddamn that man.
Interesting about that advert, though, it's a chips advert, isn't it? They sing, will it be chips? Yeah. So I imagine Bird's Eye sold more chips off the top of it than they actually sold.
The Bird's Eye Steakhouse there is very much a chip enabler. It's just an excuse to have chips on a plate, isn't it? Because no real working man can go home to, I assume, their wife and just demand chips.
No.
And keep a straight face. Yeah. That's what my mum would have given me. That's not going to wash, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You need something. And to be fair, in the ad, it is on a bed of lettuce by the looks of it.
Oh, no, it's a Bird's Eye quarter pounder.
Oh, I see. Sorry, that's it. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
They're similar, but extruded from a different shape.
Yeah, that's true. Yes, very. And you know what? I probably wouldn't eat that. It's too expensive for me.
However complex the technology, the principle of a nuclear power station is very simple. The generator produces the electricity, turned by a turbine, the blades of which are rotated by steam, which comes from a boiler, which gets its heat from the release of energy from the stream of nuclear reactions in the reactor vessel itself. Now, the heat is transferred from reactor to boiler by a circuit called the reactor cooling circuit. And in most British reactors, the medium inside that circuit is gas. But if planning permission is granted, which will almost certainly be preceded by a public inquiry, we may start using American reactors whose coolant isn't gas, but water. And water will present a new problem to our generating station engineers, because the insides of this cooling circuit will rust. And because the water has passed through the heart of the reactor, that rust will contain radioactive atoms, which, in the circuit, will build up. In fact, the older the installation, the harder it will become to maintain, as the engineers will have to spend shorter and shorter periods exposed to the radiation.
I would say from great heights, we come to catastrophic lows with the next segment, Mark.
God damn, Russ.
With what I believe to be the most boring segment of the episode. I don't really know how to describe it briefly.
There are challenges, but how to describe it briefly. Oh, God damn it, blast.
Well, let's talk about who's presenting it first.
Please do. That's new to me. It feels fresh. I might be excited.
Michael Rodd.
Ooh, good name. Solid.
Yeah, solid as a rod.
Yeah. Very important nuclear power.
Born 29th of November 1943 in South Shields.
Yes.
North Shields, sorry. North Shields, Northumberland. Yeah. You wouldn't get that from the accent, would you?
No, which is Judith's hand, though. Like, for someone who was born in
Derby,
again, they have that kind of BBC, it's not quite RP, but that kind of BBC presenter. It still feels very much Tomorrow's World, I suppose, at that point was an established programme that dated, was Probably should do no research. How old is Tomorrow's World at this point? It's
65.
old. 65. So it's 17 years old or whatever. Or heading towards that way. But it has that kind of 1950s feel to it in terms of the pronunciation, in terms of the accents. Very much there's an established RP type. It's not RP, but, both Han and Rod seem to have scrubbed their natural accents.
Yes, yeah. I feel like Lord Reith would quite like Tomorrow's World. I think it fulfills his...
Educates, entertains, and informs.
Well, I was going to say, entertains.
Yeah, well...
with this segment,
yeah,
I'm not so sure.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah, so Mr. Michael Rodd, best known as the presenter of the kids' film quiz Screen Test.
Oh.
Which predates me, but
I'm aware of it.
I'm aware of it. It's quite famous. Quite famous show. Yeah. So yeah, he started off on that and moved on to Tomorrow's World. He presented it for quite a long time. I did write it down.
You since lost it, but
lost it. It was I can remember it. It was 74 to 82, I believe.
So at this point, he's on his way out.
Yes, yeah, he is very much
Interesting.
So. Yeah.
I wonder why.
But like all Tomorrow's World people, he didn't really do anything afterwards.
He went on to do nothing. Okay, yeah.
Set up his own production company or something like that afterwards.
Oh, okay, fair.
Still alive, I think.
All right, so he went up.
Yes. I mentioned to you before, I really do think that there is a lot of Alan Partridge in here.
Yeah, no, annoyingly, because that's such a kind of a cheap thing to say, isn't it? Like, it's like Alan Partridge. Annoyingly, he is really like Alan Partridge.
Yeah, more so than other people that are compared to Alan Partridge. Richard Madeley's
Accidental Partridge, no.
Richard Madeley's compared to Alan Partridge. Apart from some of the things he says, he's not...
No, he's not. He's Richard Madeley.
Yeah.
Alan Partridge is like Richard Madeley maybe at times. It's like, no, he is astonishingly like if Alan Partridge did Tomorrow's World.
Yeah.
And it annoys me because it is such a cheap metaphor, or simile, I suppose, or whatever. But my God, unbelievable. Even down to, you won't have seen this if you're listening to the podcast, but there's a point where he's doing an experiment. You can hear him describing putting the chemical in, an unnamed chemical whose name will never be named.
No.
And he just kind of leans on the table, and then the camera zooms in, and the experiment starts rocking because he's leaning on the table and gesticulating at the same time. It's like, what are you doing, man? I don't know. And just that felt like a real Partridge thing where of course he'd lean on to get closer into where the camera was showing.
I think there's a later segment where he's involved with a car, and he puts puts his knee up at one point on the edge of something, which is completely Partridge. And
nothing a normal person would do.
No. And obviously he's got Partridge's hair.
Yeah.
And
from the day-to-day years.
Yes. And just the intonation in his voice. It's extraordinary.
Yeah. And I mean, let's get down to brass tacks here, because I think you sum this up quite well, literally explaining why something they're about to do is a shit idea before it happens.
Oh yes, yeah.
Which to me is not the definition of what Tomorrow's World should be doing.
Yeah.
This is how. Let's now mention something that I feel. Well, it certainly comes back in this episode, but I have a sneaky suspicion will be littered throughout a lot of episodes. There is a contemptuous view of what, quote unquote, the Americans do.
Yes, definitely.
So this is all about. If we're gonna sum up what this segment about, it is that this is about the British cleverly, smartly, intelligently correcting something that the Americans have fucked up on.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, the idea is that American nuclear power stations
don't. Oh my God!
Don't work
properly.
They are
so working class.
They don't work properly,
No.
And although we don't have any of them in Britain,
no, apparently
we might get them in the future.
We're going to have to suffer them at some point.
And if we get them in the future, we will have to invent a way to solve this problem that the Americans haven't solved yet. So it's a hypothetical situation. It's just a way to bash it. It
is, and I promise you, this will come back.
Yes. So it's some sort of. It's because, I mean, in a nutshell, it's because the water that runs around nuclear power stations makes the pipes go rusty, and the rust gets radioactive, and you need to get rid of that rust.
Yeah.
The Americans solve it by sending a load of people in there with, scrubbing brushes or sponges or something.
Yeah.
But the British have invented some sort of chemical that gets rid of it.
Secret chemical, can't be mentioned.
That's the whole story in a nutshell.
Yeah.
But this segment goes on for, I think, 40 to 50 minutes.
It's
of
a 22-minute program.
Oh,
Or even a 28-minute program.
Of
It is
Rod
so
very
boring.
slowly explaining.
And just kind of smugly as well. Like, he's just so proud. Like, he's professional. He's hiding his emotions. But my God, they leak. They leak out. As much as I'm assuming those American rusty pipes leak, so does his true emotions. Like, oh, we've done it again, guys. We've bettered them.
There was a real sense at the time, though, much more so than, later years, of the Americans were sort of invading, wasn't there? There's a certain cultural resistance to cultural invasion that doesn't really happen these days so much. Like, I remember when I was a kid, my dad hated me watching American TV programs.
Yeah.
To be fair to him, most American TV programs when I was a kid were rubbish.
They were. They really were.
But there was this general.
Were goddamn entertaining, though.
I mean, I could imagine if you grew up, in the 40s and 50s, 60s, whatever.
And children's TV was limited to episodes of I, Claudius or whatever. Yeah. And
then suddenly all this American stuff started turning up.
Yeah.
And America started saying how much everything's better. There would be a certain amount of pushback. And I think probably that the Americans thing that runs through the episode after this point is in some way connected to that, if you see what I mean.
No, absolutely. I think you do get a sense of this. I mean, it feels like the intonation and the subtlety is designed to be assumed by everyone who's watching. That is like, I think, as I said to you when I sent you a quick message, like, we are the Greeks of their Romans.
Yes.
We are, oh, tiny child. If only you knew. Fair enough, we are fading. We're fading into the distance. Oh, we still know a few things. Oh, you with your money and your glamorous California sun. We have Bournemouth.
Yeah.
No, it has that kind of vibe to it that is just understated. But I don't think anyone who would have watched at the time would have been left in any doubt whatsoever why this segment is the longest fucking segment in the entire show. Because at the heart there is a sense of I don't know, British exceptionalism.
Yes, the sort of thing that led to the creation of Concorde or what's that big bomber, the Vulcan bomber,
the Vulcan bombers,
things like that.
Yeah. And it's like, and that's good. I mean, Britain has a lot to be proud of, but there is also a sense of like you can only have that kind of arrogant attitude if you know that you're on the way out.
Yeah.
So it's really it is fascinating that this is. Do you know what? We haven't done the maths, and I don't want to, but it certainly feels like this is the longest segment by a country,
it's got to be
a mile, and it is dull. It is dull.
I've watched
boring.
I've watched it 3 times.
As have I. Now, thanks to you, I even said we don't have to watch it again. We can skip it.
There's a specific point where he gets, and each time it's happened, where he gets like a ball of wool out, and I suddenly see a ball of turquoise wool, and my brain goes, "Why has he got a ball of turquoise wool?" Just now he was talking about chemicals.
Yeah, beads.
I have no idea why he's done that, because I realised that I've switched off every time. Yeah, it's beyond the attention span of anybody, and I think that, and it's part of the way it's presented as well. Because Thomas Weld chooses either black or white background.
Yes,
I'm not sure why.
Cheap.
But I don't know how they choose which one's which. So
I see.
So the cow was on the black background as well. Later on, we'll have a couple in front of the white backgrounds. I don't know whether there's any correlation between the two.
That's something we can keep a track of.
But it's an inky blackness. There's nothing behind them you can see at all.
True, absolutely.
It's just him and the equipment.
Yes.
And he's got three
separate setups.
So this is big budget for Tomorrow's World. You don't normally get 3 separate bits of equipment for one segment.
And he moves from one to the other, and you think, no, that's done, and then he moves to a third. And that's where he spends the most time.
Yeah. But the equipment is, I mean, the first bit's okay because it's just like it's like a diagram, but it's got flashing lights in it, so it's kind of exciting in its own way. I mean,
visually exciting, yes.
It still managed to be less visually exciting than that episode of Chernobyl where he just uses 6 red or yellow cards on a board.
Oh, yes.
And I still found that absolutely riveting.
Yes.
Especially compared to this. But yeah, so we see the how a nuclear power station works, which Rod says, what did he say, is very simple.
Oh, so yes, famously, yes.
One for the atomic scientists.
Yes, absolutely.
Apparently, Very simple
Yeah.
how they work.
Nothing complex whatsoever.
Yeah, but then that's followed by two entirely separate pieces of
Experimental equipment, like you might remember from your school.
It's exactly
science
school
class.
equipment.
Yeah.
It's open university.
All that kind of
school
fancy
equipment.
glass held by clamps on a stand.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
rubber tubes, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I did chemistry at school. Got an A level in it. But even I can see that's televisual death. Is to
totally.
present your viewers with reams and reams of complicated chemistry equipment.
Yes.
Yeah. So
and you give it to the least charismatic person in your deck of presenters.
who if you've never seen Alan Partridge, he doesn't really have any benefit as a presenter, does he?
No. At least we got some kind of secondary high off him.
Yeah. And then the camera zooms in on this very specific part of the
nothing
equipment.
happens. I'm so sorry. And nothing happens.
And something is meant to happen in that glass tube. Something is meant to happen once he adds the chemical, and literally nothing happens. And the camera stays on that for 45
eons,
minutes.
Ross. Eons. In fact, I'm not convinced it's not still on there right now.
It's an extraordinarily boring piece of television. And especially as it's live television, you'd think someone in the gallery would go, right, let's just...
Yeah. Well, that's a televisual death, yeah.
I suppose, yeah. Or maybe they just ascribed a certain amount of time to each part, and that's that. Yeah. Other points. Yeah. Other things. Oh, he's wearing blue overalls
He
as well.
is like a mechanic.
Yeah.
No, like a mechanic, or a school teaching assistant or something. But definitely not a scientist.
Yeah.
And the BBC want to make sure you are aware he is not a scientist.
just in case.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like a kind of a 1970s kind of school janitor or something like that. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Or a pet shop keeper.
Oh, pet shop. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. Dead parrot. Isn't that a blue overall?
Oh, it might be.
Yeah.
Oh, either that or it's a brown one. It's either brown or blue, don't you?
Yeah, I can't remember.
So, would you like to know, unless you have anything else to add, would you like to know the outcome of this?
I am on tenterhooks. I've got a vague idea of what happened to British nuclear power plants. But please do tell me.
Well, bearing in mind that we just sat through that 3 times, that segment was entirely pointless because British nuclear reactors still do not use water in the cooling and never have.
Fantastic.
They still use gas as a coolant.
Of course they do.
Because they don't want the shit American system.
Yeah, good.
So, I mean, it made me feel slightly proud.
Yeah.
Because apparently it is a British design system, the one that we have. It's called the Advanced, what's it called? The Advanced Gas Core Reactor.
I see it on your note there, yeah.
There you go, yeah. Superior to the Americans. It's rubbed off on me now.
Yeah.
Superior to the Americans because they can be refueled without shutting the plant down.
Oh, yeah, good.
Are more thermally efficient and they run on natural rather than processed uranium.
Natural rather than processed uranium?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think the Americans probably get their uranium from their bomb making factories or something. Yeah, so that was that whole segment could have been binned. We would be far better off.
One phrase for you, which is 3 Mile Island, Ross. Which I'm just looking it up on my phone. When was 3 Mile Island? 1979. So why somebody in 1981 will be implying that somehow we're going to import this amazing technology that melted down in Pennsylvania and, is second only to Chernobyl in terms of its impact on the nuclear industry.
Yeah.
Nothing you tell me is in any way surprising.
So presumably what happened, that public inquiry... He had a little bit of a dig at the safety people, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Yeah, absolutely.
And there'd be some sort of public inquiry.
Oh, almost certainly followed by a public inquiry.
Yeah. So presumably at that public inquiry, some scientists turned up and said, "This is a terrible idea. We're not doing this. We're still with our British actions. Thank you very much." And that was it. That was that.
Done and dusted.
Done and dusted.
Yeah, absolutely. Very good.
This little plane is off to war, to fight a foe that outnumbers it by millions to one. The weapon being tested is new, but the enemy is an age-old one, locusts. At this very moment, West Africa is threatened by a plague of unprecedented scale. This aeroplane, part of our overseas aid to the area, is being re-equipped specially to fight that menace.
The next segment opens with some men fixing an aeroplane. They're fixing it's basically just a pod with a fan on it.
Yep.
That is the invention.
Yep.
I don't know what they used before to spray things. It's for spraying things. In this case, it's for spraying against malaria. Was it?
Locusts.
Locusts.
We've seen it 3 times. Locusts.
All right. Yeah. Was it really?
Yeah, it really was.
Oh,
yeah.
God.
There's a locust in the tail of the plane.
Oh, wow. I thought it was for anti-malaria. There you go, see?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the previous segment,
Yeah.
not riveting.
We're not going to be talking long about this. Let's just
No,
Get
but
through it.
on that third watch, where Cleary was watching very closely,
Yeah.
we did notice a few things there, didn't
Yes, we did, yeah.
Firstly, I don't know who's presenting it. I don't think it's Rod.
I don't know, it just sound like his
Sounds
voiceover. It's
like
yeah.
him. But yeah, no, maybe it was.
But we have no evidence that it was him.
No,
or,
there's no one on screen.
Yeah,
It's a piece. It's a piece.
It's a VT with voiceover.
And with what I think what we're supposed to assume are local
People, and they talk about this is happening in Mali.
Yes.
And it is absolutely 100% clearly England.
Yeah, the rolling green. hills.
Rolling green hills, and our gut instinct is that they have probably hired the local black person who lives in that village in Kent.
Yeah.
It's really kind of an uncomfortable watch.
I mean, the skies are completely grey.
Yeah. Classic Mali weather.
They're dressed. Yeah, they're wrapped up warm.
They are wrapped up warm. That's
Yeah.
absolutely true. Yeah, amazing flares though.
Yes, yeah, lovely pair of flares.
Yeah, it actually genuinely feels like. First time I saw it, I kind of took it at face value. Second time I saw it, I began to realise something wasn't right. And third time, like they are flat out lying. They're lying about what we're seeing.
Yeah.
In a bizarrely unacceptable way. It is like, it is not in Mali. It is clearly in England. And we're not even getting to the fact that the technology is...
It's not technology.
It's not technology.
It's a pod with a fan on it.
Yeah. Pod fan.
Really? Yeah, do you think they just assume the viewers just wouldn't have any concept of what Mali was? So...
Yeah, I do.
Because it's a desert country, isn't it, Mali?
It's it's West Africa, so it's. I think it is. Isn't it in the kind of Saharan stratus? Yeah. It's north of the Sahara. Most of it is.
So the chances of there being rolling green hills and completely overcast skies and muddy brown sea.
Muddy ground. Yeah. What? I'm not saying it is.
Isn't it landlocked as well?
Oh my God, it is. Holy crap, it is, Ross. Yes, it is.
So they're flying over the sea of this landlocked country.
We have somehow managed to avoid the keyest evidence, which is that it is a landlocked, mostly Saharan country. Okay,
Right.
So I feel comfortable saying that we are lied to, and I don't like that. That's left a bad taste in my mouth.
There was. I think that's the thing. They could easily have just said,
Look.
here's the technology that we're sending over to Mali.
Yes.
But with the employee of the black pilot,
yes,
we were clearly meant to
believe that this was happening in
Yes.
Mali. And it kind of reminds you, were people more gullible in 1981?
Don't know, maybe just less aware of the world. I don't know.
Gullible's wrong. Naive, maybe, or I say less informed about the world. I suppose this is before. I mean, when did Africa become a thing? And obviously, you should never imply that Africa is a country. But is it Ethiopia? Is it the famine in Ethiopia in what was that 1985?
Yeah, I have no idea what did people think of what Africa was like.
You reminded
before?
me. I remember when my granddad, who I love very much, when I was about 6 or 7, and we were in Ireland, my nan, and he goes, "Oh, Mark, do you want to watch a cartoon?" Watch a cartoon? My granddad? Damn straight. And then we went in and we sat down and we watched Cartoon. which I think is a 1950s film, 1960s maybe, black and white film about a British army in Sudan. I was like, and I sat there and I thought, even at that young age, I thought, well, he's inviting me to watch something that he likes. So it's like, oh my God, I was in for the long haul with that one.
That's a great joke to play at a kid.
Yeah, it is rather. It's like, so what did the continent Africa mean in 1981?
Yeah.
That the BBC could show a VT of the verdant hills of Mali and the wonderful coastline that Mali sits on, and no one.
Lid Airport? Is something like that?
I don't know.
What airports are close to the coast?
Plenty. Oh, yeah. No, but to be fair, it may not have been Kent, I suppose. But I suppose in my head, it's close in and around London, obviously, because they're not going to spend that long. Yeah. Clearly, they put very little effort in.
Yeah. But obviously, I didn't do any further research into.
No, quite right too.
I mean, how am I going to Google pod with a fan on it on planes?
No, indeed, no. And did they pick Mali just so he could say Timbuktu? Because he says Timbuktu with a real sense of
Yeah.
Is contempt the right word?
Yeah, well,
Like,
Timbuktu.
satisfaction at saying the word Timbuktu, I'd say.
So I always remember when I was discovering that Timbuktu was a real place as an adult.
It blew my mind.
It's where the Mr. Men live, doesn't it? Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say, isn't there something about Timbuktu in
And yes, it's something else as well.
Family Ness?
Yes,
It's Family Ness.
yeah.
So to me, it was always a made-up magical
You can
land.
go to Timbuktu, but you'll never find a Nessie in
But
the
you
zoo.
never find it in the zoo, and then you find out it's a real place. It's like, and then you see, actually, I've never been, but I've seen pictures, and it looks like an incredible place.
Yes, yeah.
And you just, let's be honest, Tomorrow's World filmed this probably in Kent.
Yeah.
Picked Mali so that he could say in a kind of a derogatory way at the end, just mention Timbuktu because isn't that a funny word?
Yeah. And it sums up the faraway, exotic, slightly racist.
But it's also kind of,
notions of Africa.
Thank you. There you go. The dark continent.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah, despite the fact that it's grey skies over Britain. If there's a dark continent, it's Europe. No, it's we actually talked about, we weren't going to talk about this for very often, but it turns out on the third viewing, it revealed it opened up its horrific quality to us in a way that we weren't expecting.
Have you any idea what these are? I'll give you a few clues. Each one causes excruciating pain, and they've become so common recently that they're now inside 1 in every 10 men. Yes, they're kidney stones. Because they're so hard and can be so large, just look at that monster. The only way to remove them and the pain they cause is to operate. But the ideal would be to prevent them forming in the first place. And that happens something like this.
So the next segment, I would say, well, let's say with a positive. I mean, it's another inky blackness in the background.
Yes, absolutely. The void,
experiments in the foreground thing. I would say that Han is much better at presenting this stuff.
She's actually really good.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew that anyway, but like, she's a very good TV presenter.
I found myself listening more to it. I mean, I still wasn't thrilled a minute, but my eyes didn't glaze over at any point. I don't think.
No.
She has she's got a nice voice, Han. I think.
Yeah.
There's a certain ASMR.
Anything else you want to say about it?
Yeah, certain ASMR quality to it, I think. Yeah, so what she's doing, she opens the segment, she's got an array of kidney stones in front of her.
She does.
They
remind me of something, and I remember what it is now.
Walnuts?
Is it the everlasting gobstopper or something? In Willy Wonka, which has that kind of shardy quality to it. Yeah. I was thinking, like, what is it? And it just popped into my head when Charlie puts it back on the table. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, no, you do expect her to pop it into her mouth.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Because it has a kind of you say walnut quality to it.
I don't know what would happen if you ate one. Whether it would just immediately sail straight through and go straight back into your kidney.
Oh, of all the things I shouldn't have done. Oh, what a nightmare.
Yeah. And what she's basically, I mean, it's not really new technology or anything like that.
It's not.
She's just telling us that scientists have tried to work out why some people get kidney stones and some people don't.
Yes.
And that's it.
Yeah, no.
There's no solution presented. Well, the slight solution presented, I guess, don't live in southern US or northern Britain.
And it does feel like filler. And again, like they imply that if you live in the southern states or northern England, that the answer to why you may be more likely to get kidney stones is simply because softer water. When it feels more likely that perhaps they have identified 2 areas with a higher prevalence of poverty, and poverty in general tends to lead to poorer diets for reasons completely out of control of people who are living in areas of higher poverty. It feels like they got very close to why there might be more kidney stones in these areas, and then kind of found a completely different reason. Because I don't know, you've done the research, I have not. Does soft water give kidney stones, or is it more likely to be poor diet?
I didn't actually look that up.
Well, do you know what, Russ? I'm glad you didn't, because I would much rather rely on my own biases.
Well,
and
I think I would say
that
she basically proves it in that she has a tray of unhealthy food.
Yes, and it is unhealthy food.
Which she says all of these things can contribute to kidney stones.
Yeah,
including a delightfully placed Mars bar draped over.
Which she touches like it's a turd.
Yeah.
She barely wants to touch it. Yeah, so that's true. So she introduces the plate of not unhealthy foods, but perhaps foods that aren't quite as healthy as they could be. And later on, she introduces a plate of healthy foods and says, hey, this is beneficial. But then in the middle bit, says it's all about soft water.
Yeah. Also, she slips in that meat might cause it, but only
and
afterthought. That's not on the tray.
Blah, 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 and meat. Yeah.
So I've got two thoughts about that, right?
I'm listening.
Is meat not included in the presentation tray because they don't want to waste a load of meat? I mean, they could have bunged a load of those steaks on from earlier, couldn't they? Probably wouldn't have cost them very much. They could simply have sawn off a couple. Or is there, a secret cabal of meat manufacturers controlling the output of Tomorrow's World and ensuring that there's no negative...
Oh, write that down. We might need to keep track of this.
No negative meat coverage in there.
Well, I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I mean, I just found it to be... I mean, it wasn't boring. It wasn't, Michael Rod's fantastic piece about...
nuclear
I can't even lie. It wasn't boring, but it was just... The other thing I thought was, like, they were talking about kind of adding things to the water. It's like, oh, yeah, that'll go down well these days, won't it? The government adding things to your water. At a time, when we're recording this, when the vaccine for COVID-19 is tantalizingly on the horizon, but still a distance away. But we're also aware that a significant proportion of the population will probably refuse to take the vaccine because they think Bill Gates is trying to put microchips in their blood. And the idea that the US government or the UK government could go around adding stuff to our water, like they have fluoride, which apparently sends us mad as well, even though it's just to kind of make our teeth healthier or whatever, just is just joyously innocent.
Although, these days they don't have Judith Hand to explain stuff. Maybe she came out, brought out of retirement to explain how vaccines work.
Did things go wrong in '94? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, that might have made it more palatable.
It was a very boring World Cup that year. Maybe you're onto something, Russ. There's nothing more to say. I would say one more thing. Sorry, one more thing to point out. Once again. Oh, yes. Of course.
The Americans.
Yes, absolutely.
In this one, they were described as excessive Americans.
Excessive Americans, yeah, absolutely.
Bunch of fat bastards
with their rusty power plant pipes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that's a really fair point. This is the other mention, which is just a sly, winking denigration of Americans.
Yeah,
who have the audacity to speak the same language as us, so we can judge them on class levels in a way that they just don't understand.
I mean, the thing is, I've been traveling around America a lot, and one thing you do hear quite a lot as traveling around is just the popping of American kidneys. Like just.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can be sitting in a restaurant and suddenly there's a loud bang.
Yeah.
Oh, it's another kidney gone.
Yeah. What's a man to do? It's all this soft water I drink.
Yeah. Actually, Americans don't drink water.
No.
They all just drink soda
drinks.
Pops.
Yeah.
All the time.
Soda pops. Lashings of pop, Russ. What you're saying? Anyway, they don't drink water. They drink water.
Yeah.
But they don't drink water.
No, I can't remember the only time I've seen an American drink a glass of tap water.
I know when you to a lot of restaurants, specifically in New York, like they will give you a glass of New
York's not in the stone belt.
No, I know the stone belt.
Famous stone belt, as Judith calls it.
Well, I mean, we don't even need to, we you know what? We don't even need to explain where it is because everyone who's listening automatically knows where the stone belt is. Yeah.
Although it to me sounds like one of those cheap, like I don't know, Madhouse or those cheap clothes shops. They'd have like
Madhouse.
They'd have or Peacocks. They'd have fake brands.
Yeah.
Stone belt sounds like it would be like a fake
Foster's
jeans
Menswear
brand or something like
presents Stone Belt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, would you like to know
I would.
The outcome of that?
Yes, I would.
Well, plenty of scientific opinion backs up magnesium as preventing... That's nothing to do with soft and hard water.
No.
Magnesium is a supplement. Consensus is that that does help prevent kidney stones. But as one paper pointed out, intervention studies concerning prevention of disease, however, will be unlikely to be performed because of the need for a long duration of placebo-controlled setting, i.e. i.e. it'd be too expensive to do, and you can't make any money selling magnesium to people.
So we'll never know.
So we'll never know.
It's a mystery.
It's still a mystery.
Wow.
39 years later.
Brilliant.
But I would say if you eat a lot of Mars bars, strawberries, meat and rhubarb.
No, strawberries, Mars bars, rhubarb and meat.
yeah, sorry. Yeah. Washed down with lashings of tea.
Lashings of tea.
Then maybe add...
And soft water.
Oh, yeah. And you live in...
Lashings of soft water.
Scunthorpe.
Yeah, I thought London had loads of soft water.
No, we've got hard water.
We have hard water, don't we?
Yeah,
God damn it, bless, yeah.
We're hard.
Go on, double hard. Yeah, famously.
But yeah, hang on a minute. We get loads of scale in our kettle, though. Surely that's calcium. That doesn't make any sense at all. Anyway.
No. Come on, stop. We're not scientists.
Yeah. Just maybe consider some magnesium supplements.
Okay, that's useful.
If I leave this tap running, within 5 minutes, I will have emptied the contents of this entire beer barrel, 10 gallons, and he'll need something pretty substantial to collect it. So I'm using this cardboard box. No, there's not going to be any soggy disasters, because this is a box with a difference.
Right, we're on home straight now, Mark. You'll be pleased to hear.
He is just.
I think, I would say that this is visually more impressive than the fan on airplane, but far more useless. It's a useless invention. So Sue is back.
Yes.
She's in the studio this time, and now we've got the white background.
No.
What?
Oh yeah. No, it's like good. Yeah,
yes.
I don't know why I said no. Maybe I'm just sorry. I'm preempting everything I have to say about this. Yeah. No, sorry.
Yes, so she's on. They've brought in the white background now, and so she's explaining to us how
cardboard boxes,
a cardboard box with a plastic bag in it,
are the future of all logistics. Problems. Yeah.
So rather than tried and tested metal barrels to transport liquids,
which she shows us. She shows us 7 of them, I think, doesn't she? Maybe more actually.
Yeah. Rather than that, all you need is a cardboard box with a plastic bag in it.
Yeah.
Wait,
hang on. Plus
a couple of metal reinforcement circles on it.
Yeah, and
like a metal reinforcement
rib cage kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. After you've done that, it's just as good as a barrel.
Absolutely.
That's not true.
No,
it's complete lies.
It's just a waste of time. Like it's scraping the bottom of the cardboard box, Russ. That's what it is. Because it's just nonsense. It really is. Nonsense.
I could see the advantage in something being a cube rather than a cylinder.
Yeah.
But there's a reason why things are cylinders. Is to do with the strength.
Yes, it is. Yes, there are. Yeah, there are reasons.
Because
it is stronger.
A cube has a number of far more points of failure in the corners and edges and all that malarkey.
As many as 8.
Yeah. So this box would presumably have all. Imagine bashing a few of them into each other. The cardboard would disintegrate in minutes.
Are you generous? Seconds?
It would get punctured incredibly easily. Yeah. She's moving around with a forklift. You could drive the forklift through the side of it, and it would just puncture it instantly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an astonishingly poor invention.
Actually, it's not the invention that I find astonishingly poor. It is the judgment of the editorial staff to assume in some ways that this is interesting or provides any solution to anything. Because it's just like, even watching her discuss it, it is clear and obvious. I don't need to be told that cardboard is a material that fails under pressure or when it's wet. I just don't. No. You know, many weeks of experience have built up to make me realise that that's something that I'm aware of just intrinsically. It's a bit like the fan thing. It's like,
At least there's no racism in this one, though.
At least there's no racism. That's absolutely true. Oh, but there is a lie, though. We spotted a lie. You spotted a lie.
I did a spot a lie. Yeah. So in the demonstrating how much pressure.
Yes.
Yeah. After it telling us that it starts off with her pouring an entire barrel of beer into this box.
Why beer?
Presumably so that the crew can drink it after.
I sincerely hope so. There better be a good reason. Yeah.
Yeah. You can imagine all the cameramen and soundmen and all that coming in with like pint glasses and pouring it out. We go, wee.
Can't imagine what a BBC pint glass would look like.
Maybe, somebody getting Rod's radioactive experiment and tipping it in someone's glass through all that. But so she starts off by doing that, and then she immediately moves across to a piece of equipment that shows how strong it is by pumping air into it.
Yes.
Which is not the thing that it's designed for anyway.
Not at all.
But
what did you spot?
Well, in the high quality monitor screen that we're watching this on, you can quite clearly tell that so she's got one piece of cardboard set up up to survive, which
The
is
treated cardboard.
which is our new
Yeah.
treated cardboard.
One with the
But you've
plastic
got a piece of
liner.
normal cardboard.
Yeah.
A piece of normal cardboard's clearly got a kink already
Yeah,
in it,
it's
where they've done the experiment before.
Absolutely.
And deliberately rubbered it, so that it definitely will.
It is
rupture
designed to fail.
on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BBC lies. That's all. That's it. Just BBC lies. It's up there with that horrible Blue Peter thing that I no longer remember what happened anymore because it actually was quite a long time ago. Disgusting, Russ.
Yeah, it is.
I'm livid.
Do you think we can retrospectively write to points of view about
Dear
about
points of
episodes
view,
of
yeah.
39 year-old
Well,
episodes?
do you know what? I don't know if we can. We can bloody well try.
So obviously I thought, well, I can't look this up. I mean, what we're going to look up? Cardboard boxes, strengthened cardboard boxes.
No, you can't.
Anything you look up would...
Metal reinforced cardboard boxes? I don't know.
I mean, you just type a cardboard, you just get packaging. I mean, I'd say the closest thing to it is a box of wine. So
box of wine, yeah, okay.
Maybe that's how it ended up.
Oh.
I mean, when does box wine start?
I have no idea.
So they may have
And
found...
we're certainly not going to look it up.
No, absolutely not. So they may have found a use for it in that respect.
Oh, yeah, perhaps, but certainly not in
certainly
kind
not
of
on the industrial level that she,
implied. And again, like I know one thing you said earlier was like she shows us this cardboard box which is what, maybe a meter cubed, and 7 oil barrels. There's no way the contents of 7 oil barrels fit. It's like, again, it's like, nah, they're trying to sell us a pub. It's nonsense. Also BS.
All right, Lying Sue, we'll call her from now on.
Lying Sue
Does give media training, doesn't she? So that might explain,
yeah, maybe.
Is that not teaching people to lie?
Kind of is, yeah.
Prepared to bet that the first drivers of these vehicles felt that they were riding on air as they swept through the populace at the turn of the century. Of course, they weren't, because the tyres of this magnificent 1902 Albion from the Heritage Collection in Zion Park are in fact solid. The introduction of pneumatic tyres and the punctures that went with them came years later. But to today's motorist, a puncture is a minor problem, unless, that is, he happens to be driving a vehicle which is fitted with a wheel like this. A puncture on a snowcat, a large forklift, an earth mover, equipped with equipment like this, could take 24 hours to change the wheel, losing perhaps in the time thousands and thousands of pounds worth of work. How many drivers of vehicles with wheels like this have wished that they could have solid puncture-proof tyres? It's not possible because solid tyres would not handle the rough terrain that the off-the-road vehicles just have to cope with. So, looking for a solution, a British team discovered an idea in North America, and this, in principle, is it. And it seems that, as far as I'm concerned tonight, gloves are becoming obligatory. Kit myself out to keep the safety authorities happy. And on we will go. Right, 2 chemicals, which I mix together.
Final segment. This now, right, is the peroration of the television program itself. They are summing up their message with this final segment, Russ.
Yeah, they are.
They are whipping us up into a fury, leaving us wanting more.
Yeah. Right, really, something to really propel us into the future.
Absolutely.
At light speed.
Light speed. So obviously they introduced us in the 1902 car. Yeah.
Yes. Alan Partridge, or to give him his name, Michael Rudd.
Thank God for Alan Partridge. Otherwise, that would be so freaking dull. It's only because you and I love Armando Iannucci's entire world that there's any way we can get enjoyment out of that.
So we see Rod come chugging in on a 1902 historic vehicle.
Historic vehicle, yes indeed.
In the white background studio again. We're speculating that maybe the white background studio is used for larger things, vehicles and the like.
Yes.
Yeah, he comes chugging in. The reason why is he driving this? It turns out it's this whole segment's about solid tyres.
Solid tyres.
Well, actually, it's about normal tyres that are impregnated with solid stuff.
Infused,
yes. So you take your normal pneumatic tyre and squirt this new substance inside it. It will make it solid, but still have the behaviour of an inflated tyre.
Yes.
That's his idea.
Yeah.
So the vintage car isn't actually appropriate anyway, because that has solid.
Literally solid. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And to be fair, he screws up the experiment. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Yeah. What I like about it is that he kind of brings out, here's one I made earlier, and then he says the hand of the master, which implies that somehow he didn't screw up. It takes an expert to no, our boy don't screw up. But he writes it through like a professional.
I mean, I have to say that demonstration of this demonstration of the substance, although he does do it wrong.
I mean, you can see why he does it wrong, but he does get close.
This is blue. This is quite
like
fascinatingly
paint,
blue
gloop. Texture, not texture, but like thickness to it. Yeah,
sort of Smurf coloured gloop.
Yeah, Smurf coloured.
Maybe if you put a Smurf in a deep grizzling machine, it might come out like that.
Yeah.
But the substance itself is like some sort of weird polymer that solidifies in the air. So he pours
after mixing it with. Did he name the chemical?
No.
If he did, none of us remember it. But again, a secret chemical. He mixed it in, and the idea is he pours it out from one kind of plastic container onto what looks like the lid of a paint pot.
Yeah, I think it was.
And the idea is that you do it at a certain height and at a certain certain rate, and it slowly solidifies over the course of 10 seconds, 5 seconds, and he gets bloody well close. He does.
Yeah.
But our theory is that he did it from too high, so it was too thin a strand of solidifying liquid pouring out.
But as far as solidifying liquids go, I was quite impressed by its like instant sort of. It was kind of cool looking in its own way, I thought.
It's a nice shade of blue.
Yes, exactly.
Very easy on the eye.
Yes, yeah. But there were a number of, I think, Partridgean type things that he did in this. Partridgean.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
He did a couple of Partridge leans. He really there was a mention of health and safety laws. He slapped his...
Keep the safety authorities happy.
Yes, he slapped his rubber gloves on.
Yeah. Can you imagine the fascism?
The second time in this episode, he's had to wear rubber gloves.
Yeah.
And he's treating it like,
it's intolerable.
Nanny state. State. As in the previous one, he was handling radioactive chemicals.
Yeah.
In this one, he's handling some sort of noxious, I don't know what it is, chemical.
Well, it's not safe.
Well, although, as he does point out, considerably safer than the similar product made by the Americans.
Oh, the Americans, yeah. He does mention... Well, it has North American ingredients.
Yes.
That's what it is.
North American ingredients, which are far too noxious to even have in the studio.
Can you imagine?
Oh, it's probably full of radioactive rust.
And salt water.
Kidney stones. Kidney stones.
Yeah. Oh, I've got no sense of decorum, those Yanks, do they?
So how many items? 7 items in this program. 3 of them.
Yes.
Slightly Americans.
Yeah. 3 out of 7.
Pretty good hit rate. Something we should look out for.
We certainly will. Something tells me we won't have to look out for it. No. I feel like it might be a trend. I did also like there is a law in this land when he referred to the fact that unbelievably this amazing technology I failed to show you cannot be utilised by you because there is a law in this land that says we only want safety first and you have to have exactly.
It was the law was that you can only go under 12 miles an hour.
Any vehicle that travels over 12 miles an hour must have inflated tires.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So it's almost like they used to have solid state tires and realised that they were unsafe. That inflated tires were safer.
Yeah.
And have decided, against all common sense, that they should go with the safety first approach to vehicles that travel at excessive speeds.
Yes,
in terms of like running speed. No, it's astonishing, his view. But the whole thing is just pure Partridge. And again, I'm bored of saying the word Partridge. And I'm bored of people mentioning it, but we just can't not. It is astonishing.
His pronunciation of certain words, his
intonation in general is just pure.
His obsessions, that obsession with health and safety, and remarkable. And then it finishes with him doing this little jokey skit. Oh, actually, no, sorry. First, he mentioned the fact that he first shows that you can do it on bicycle tires as well.
Oh, he drills
which
through
he then demonstrates by drilling through
them. Excessively.
Yeah, he really goes to town. Goes to town on that, doesn't he? Yeah.
Is it secret? Is it safe? Is it secret? Is it safe? That tire gave up every location.
And then we finish on his little skit where he tries to restart the vintage car.
Yes, he does.
As the excellent Tomorrow's World theme credits play, and he's having trouble with it, isn't he?
Of course he is.
And
Hilariously.
he's spinning the old crank handle at the front there, jumping up, doing proper full jumps in the air. He spins around
in his delightful little cuban heels.
Yes.
And you know he's making a lovely little clip noise on the table on the ground. And the thing is, I'm not convinced it's a joke. I think he probably did want to start it. Yeah, and he failed to. And I bet you afterwards he threw down his script and he was furious, stormed out of the wine studio, found himself in the black studio, couldn't work out where the door is. Sorry, Samantha, I'm going to be late home for my extruded steak. Better keep the chips on the oven. Oh, I'm livid.
Han had a better job with that cow than I had with that car. Yes, going back to the 12 mile an hour thing, would you know it?
Ooh.
That this stuff, gunk, whatever you want to call it, is indeed used extensively in car tyres not car tyres, vehicle tyres these days.
I did not know that.
It is used in sort of mining equipment, diggers, tractors, all things like that. All vehicles that travel under 15 miles per hour. It stipulates that that's the only safe level at which it can be used.
Oh, I see. There's a twist in the tale.
Yes,
at higher velocities, it is incredibly dangerous.
Yes.
So it heats up again and melts?
So, the law of the land is there for a reason. The land, Russ. It works a treat on your agricultural machinery, mining machinery.
So it is still. So it is used.
Yeah. There's websites everywhere. You can pull up in your forklift truck or your mining lorry, whatever they're called, and they'll do it for you. And there's all sorts of benefits.
I'm hugely impressed.
There you go. Bigtyres.co.uk. Foam filling.
Look at that.
A picture of a JCB.
Look at that. Steel mills, lawn and maintenance, landfills and recycle, lumber yards, mining, construction.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm actually surprised. So, interestingly, on the illustrative pictures, it's yellow, not blue.
Oh yeah, good point.
Different formula, Russ. Different formula. Every badge you fool. All right, that's enough of that. Okay, so something came of that.
Yeah, it did. And I was wondering, in modern cars, they, rather than putting a spare wheel in, they have like a can of something, right?
Yes.
And I was wondering, is that the same stuff? It's not.
No.
Entirely different. The can.
I have to say, I did not know that cars did not have
they're too
tires.
cheap.
They have a can now.
They're too cheap. They say it's to save weight, but actually it's because they're too cheap to put a spare wheel in a car.
This is news to me. I do not drive and I have not got a car.
Yeah, so
I live in London.
So these days, it'll quite often be what looks like some sort of large...
Like an aerosol can? Yeah. And you spray the tyre?
So you plug it in.
Oh, into the tyre?
Plug it into the tyre.
Yes.
And it sprays a substance in there, but that isn't the same stuff. What that is a sealant, and it seals the inside of the tyre, and there's like a small air compressor on it, and it re-inflates the tyre with the tyre seal.
I mean, that is brilliant.
That you can drive over 15 miles an hour.
I'd say there are people listening to this who this is not news to.
Yeah.
I am hugely impressed. This is the first time I've heard of this. That is, to me, incredible. That's like, wow, yeah. I mean, that actually sounds better than because the whole point of spare tyres is that you're not really supposed to travel too far now. Like you have to go to some place you can buy proper tyres. This is like you can't just drive around in that. You have to go change it. Okay, yeah. That's amazing.
So yeah, I mean,
but I'm also impressed that this polymer nonsense made it into anything other than a ratty chopper tire. So yeah.
Oh yeah, and it's also used extensively. This stuff
is
used extensively in bike tires as well. You can get a bike tire.
Cool.
So I mean, we could go out as an experiment with the drill, just run it through a few times. Just see how many people have got it.
Oh, the people would love that, Russ. Yeah. But we've got a podcast. Yeah. Oh, who doesn't?
So a bloke from the Bike Repair podcast will be seen soon.
Okay.
Until the same time, from all of us, good night. At least I think it's going to be good night. 12 miles an hour.
So we've seen everything, Russ. 7 segments, 1 episode, 22nd of January 1981. There are 2 questions, I think, if we're to do a proper audit, we have to ask.
Yeah.
One, is there anything they've shown us today that has... No. So there are 2 questions.
Yeah.
Did we see anything in that episode that has made it through to the future?
Mm-hmm.
And the other question is, what does this episode tell us about the 22nd of January 1981?
Well, I would say, Mark, the first question.
Yes.
We can very quickly audit.
I know. Yeah.
We can go through. Section 1.
Yeah.
Marigold the cow.
Yeah.
And her kinky rubber flooring.
Yeah. Kinky rubber flooring. Yeah.
It does exist.
Yep.
No one uses it.
I've written here, rubber flooring still very much the technology of the future. Apparently, every generation of farmer is surprised by the possibility of rubber flooring for their cows.
There might be. Do you think there might be a situation when humans stop eating meat? That will farmers only then would be considered.
Finally, when they were building retirement homes for cows. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So that you can put that in the central column in the.
It's around. It's available.
It's available,
but it hasn't
taken the world by storm.
No, absolutely.
Segment number 2.
Steak.
Well, you can still go to Iceland and buy grill steaks,
which we assume, but are not certain, follow the same technology that we have denigrated earlier.
I don't see why you'd use a different technology.
No,
that extruded, it looked very efficient, and as I said,
and they're frozen.
They can be simply sawn off to
Absolutely.
any width you like,
and they are perfectly edible. Yeah, I am convinced. I am convinced that has made it through.
Yeah, I would say that probably any cheap shaped meat product probably uses some sort of.
I think if you buy something in a shop and the shape of what you buy is the same every single time, it's probably come out of some kind of, what would you call that? Not a dye, but like a shape. Like it's been shaped artificially. An offal pipe. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Which is a terrible way of killing yourself in a garage, isn't it?
Is it the future? It's not really the future, is it? It's the past, sort of. Well, it's something we still use, but I don't.
I suppose the question is, it made it into the future.
Yes, yeah.
It exists right now. So I would say it's not our future, but it is 1981's future. Yeah. So it has successfully made it into the future.
Yes, yeah.
Which is not true of the rusty nuclear power warning from history I've written here.
Rod's rusty.
Yeah. It's like, that was a fucking waste of time, and I watched that 3 times, Russ.
And the thing is, right? We have no guarantee that chemical worked, because we watched it for 75 to 80 minutes, and at no point did the chemical actually do anything.
No.
So we have no guarantee it works, but assuming it does work, right? Can you imagine taking this chemical? We couldn't use it in this country because we never got the reactors.
That technology. Yeah.
So they could take it over to America.
Yeah.
But can you imagine the Americans? They're, as you said, they're Rome to our Greece.
Mm-hmm.
Would they accept this?
I've got to say, Rose, I can't imagine it.
Because they would only. There's a very sort of American exceptionalism to solving problems over there. When you go over there, that you'll look at a bridge, and you'll go, why have they built that bridge like that? It's a terrible idea. But it's because that's how Americans build bridges.
Well, let's put it this way. I think in maybe in the 90s they would have accepted it, and maybe in the 2000s they would have accepted it. But America, as it currently stands, with the government as it currently is constituted, no, they would not accept it. Rusty pipes is God's gift to American acceptances. No, I feel safe in saying that has not made it to the future. I would also argue that we are on the precipices of nuclear fusion technology. It's mere decades away now. So no, I think that's a swing and a miss, and to be honest, it feels like that was in there because it wasn't going to be the future. Like there's a lot going on there that I think you and I can pick up some of the subtexts, but clearly not all of them.
No,
that was a piece that was written for the time.
Yeah.
So no, that does not exist in the future. Fan busters, I've written here. Which is obviously incorrect, utter nonsense from beginning to end, and actually almost like criminally fraudulent.
Obviously there are aeroplanes that fly around Africa spraying stuff.
Yep, and there are many more planes, I'm sure, flying around the home counties flying stuff.
But there's any number of ways you could spray stuff out of an aeroplane. I don't know whether any.
It's nonsense. Utter nonsense.
Yeah.
And actually, it's just awful television.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, totally.
Kidney stones.
Kidney stones. Well, as said, it seems like the things that cause kidney stones do cause kidney stones.
Yes,
and magnesium does help.
Yes, but that was about soft water.
but this, I don't think society's moved on in any way. Everybody still.
You can still buy Mars bars.
Yeah. Okay.
Next,
they're smaller.
Yeah. Russ, is cardboard the material of the future?
No.
No. All right.
No,
Next.
it's the material of the dustbin.
Yes. Yeah. It is. Yeah. Recyclable.
Yeah,
obviously, not the
recycling
dustbin.
bin. Yes,
It's
yeah.
not residual waste, Russ. It's recyclable waste.
I like to think that if it did in some way contributed to wine boxes, then
Yeah, that's a fair point.
I do enjoy a wine box, so I'll give it a micron of credit for that.
Yeah.
And
And
last,
tires. And actually, it turns out that has joined us in the future.
it is 100% success story.
It is niche. It is specific. It very much fits in with his, it's still kind of vehicles under a certain speed limit, but actually it is the safe material for a certain type of industrial plant machinery. Fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it. I'm glad to see it. The other question, Russ, and I know you're going to tell us something about 1981 in a second. What have we learned about the 22nd of January 1981 from this episode? And before we answer that, what can you tell us about that time to give us a sense of context?
Well, I've got a few statistics here, Mark. You'll be surprised to hear.
I am surprised because you didn't tell me earlier that you'd done this.
I'm such a good researcher, aren't I?
You're very good. So,
Yes.
tell us what you've learned.
Well, prices, for a start.
Yeah.
They're not mentioned. I mean, the thing about BBC at the time, they're very much stricter on commercials.
Genuinely.
So
No
if
Barclays Premiership then.
There's no mention of any prices or where you can buy these things or even who makes any of them.
Yeah.
But I was thinking during that meat one.
Yes.
This episode of Inside the Factory, it would be a specific company. It would be Birdseye.
Yeah.
And it'd be slapped all over everywhere. You don't know what it is. So we don't actually know the price of any of the things in that program.
Which in a weird way would reassure you because you'd feel like there's an authentic vision behind something you understood. But back then they were very much, you're not going to learn anything. There's no advertisement on the BBC.
No, none whatsoever. No brand names whatsoever.
Yeah.
So we don't know how much those things cost, but to give you an idea of the prices of the time, the average wage was £7,000 a year.
£7,000 a year. Okay.
Pint of milk.
19
pence a pint.
Okay.
Which, as Han mentioned in that kidney stone segment, people drank about 2.5 pints of a day or something like that. Which is
apparently so. Okay. Yeah. That's true. Actually, yeah.
Which is astonishing
So
about
50p's worth of milk a day.
More milk than I've drunk in my life.
Yeah.
Beer.
Yes.
50 pence a pint.
50p a pint. Okay.
And petrol, 35p a litre.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Yeah.
So, one for all the petrol drinkers there. they're outpacing the beer drinkers.
They are. Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
And we had a quick browse through the Argos catalogue.
Yes. From the year. Oh,
yeah,
fabulous.
from the year.
Okay.
Yeah. And I thought, what's the sort of item of technology most people would have in their homes?
Yes.
Kettle.
A kettle.
Kettle.
Who doesn't love a kettle?
Well, exactly. Well, you're boiling up all that tea to give yourself a
kidney stones. Yeah, absolutely. A lot of kettling.
The most expensive kettle in the Argos catalogue, £23.99, which sounds
reasonable.
It does sound reasonable, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does sound reasonable.
But I ran that through the old exchange rate mechanism, whatever it's called.
The exchange rate mechanism.
Yeah. And these days that would be
John Major fans.
Yeah, that would be £92.60.
£92.
Thing is, I reckon you probably still could get a more expensive kettle these days.
But
the only
not in the Argos catalogue.
Well, this kettle had two functions.
Two functions.
Yeah.
2 functions.
Yeah, it had two functions.
Boiling water and.
All right. It had two.
Sorry.
Supplementary
okay,
functions.
forgive me. Yeah.
Two supplementary functions to the functions that the other kettles also had.
Yes.
One was that it would only switch on if it had water in it, which is
safety first.
Safety first. Yeah. And two, it would switch itself off once it boiled.
Oh, safety second. Safety first and second.
You can imagine going to Argos, like buying
I mean, it must have been. I mean, to be fair, it must have been half microchip.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
That kind of technology.
But yeah, you buy yourself a cheap £10 kettle, and it just boils itself dry every time.
I can't imagine.
Kitchen's full of steam.
There's no water, Russ. There's no water. It just boils nothing.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. £95. Okay. Sorry, £92 or whatever. Okay, right. So, with that being said, what have you learned about 1981 from this episode of Tomorrow's World?
I would say that the key takeaway that hit me immediately that I watched it is that 1981 is the 1970s.
It's the 70s.
It's the mid-1970s.
Yeah, it's the 70s.
Yeah, the haircuts.
Yeah.
Most times you see people with trousers, they're wearing flares.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just that general sense of
bleakness. No, bleak is correct. Yeah.
The only external VT is grey, the sky.
Yeah.
Bleak and it's.
To be fair, it was filmed in November, December. Like I'll forgive them in that camp, but I'm not convinced it was filmed in the summer. It wouldn't be bleak.
No. Yeah. And just the way things are filmed just give them just an extra tinge of bleakness.
Yeah, it's sad. Like it just like I suppose when we were kids, I remember watching Tomorrow's World and just being excited about the future. And I think if I had an assumption, it's that the closer we get to our era of Tomorrow's World, the less it will be about like technology and the more it'll be about computers and the promise that computers hold. And in a weird way, imagining the future has become kind of boring now because it's all about computers. Like, what can computers do in the future? Yeah, computer did it. Yeah.
Laser did it.
Whereas like back then it was about kind of engineering.
Yes.
And technology, but engineering. And like even robotics doesn't exist at that point.
Yeah.
Like there was just such a kind of a broader spectrum of possibility where now it's kind of so niche. But even when we were kids, I suppose there was that kind of sense where computers were coming in and they were matching engineering and robotics. And they were kind of saying, well, there's this whole new world that we hadn't imagined before that was possible. Whereas like, God, there's nothing about anything we saw today that wasn't prosaic, like cemented to the ground. There's no vision.
They're all boring engineering solutions.
Yeah. Boring problems?
Yeah.
Yes, two boring problems.
Yeah.
I was trying to think, like, what's the most exciting what is the most exciting problem that we saw today that they were looking for a solution to?
Oh God.
Children not having enough steak?
Yeah. What problems are they solving?
Which apparently may or may not lead to kidney stones, but don't worry, we have a solution to that.
Yeah. It's uncomfortable cows.
Yeah.
Underfed children.
Nuclear power stations we're not going to have to deal with.
Bad diet.
Yeah. To be fair, locust is a problem, but that was not the solution. I don't know. Like there was no vision in this program. Yeah.
No. In the future, everything will be slightly better because of these very non-revolutionary engineering solutions that somebody's come up with.
And maybe as we watch these, we will have to learn with the fact that they weren't like. I remember Tomorrow's World being visionary, and I kind of feel like in the 60s it probably was visionary, and we'll find out. We'll find out when we look at the programs from the 70s as well. Like, I feel like they are looking into the future with a sense of genuine excitement, not positivity, excitement. And this has no excitement whatsoever. In fact, it is dripping with a kind of a resentment of like Britain's lot in life.
Yeah.
Roll on the next one. Right, anything else to add?
Just a bit of colour.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to know who is number one in the singles chart this week?
Yes, I would.
John Lennon with Imagine.
Oh, wow.
Because he'd just been capped, didn't he?
Oh, I suppose December 80. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, wow, crikey. So it's still number one. Or it got back to number one. Okay, crikey. Okay, fair enough.
The other interesting thing...
ironically, a word that is not used.
Yeah.
There was someone who was, was a visionary. He might have been wrong, but okay.
But bearing in mind, remember that this is the week of my birth, right?
Yes, I how can anyone forget?
Yeah. Do you know who else was in the chart?
The week of your birth.
The week of my birth. So at number 4, Phil Collins with In the Air Tonight.
Oh, In the Air Tonight, okay.
And at number 18, Chaz and Dave with Rabbit.
Oh, and then that's fabulous.
Number 1 at the box office, Flash Gordon.
That's right. Flash Gordon was number 1. That's amazing. That's a really good... Okay, fabulous. Okay.
So, as a man who, loves Phil Collins, Chaz and Dave, and the film Flash Gordon...
Yes, yeah, literally, yes.
These my tastes were really...
Absolutely. It's like...
crystallised quite quickly in my life.
If only there wasn't like an astrology for like popular culture or something like that, yeah. Oh, Phil Collins was in alignment with Flash Gordon. Oh.
And the piece of technology news, exciting technology news from this week, just the day before, 21st of January 1981, was the first DeLorean rolled off the production line.
In Northern Ireland.
In Northern Ireland.
Interesting. My dad ended up working with... So famously, the DeLorean company was not founded on sound financial...
No, I watched the whole documentary type
My dad, who was brilliant in business, but also... he liked to chance his arm. My daddy liked to chance his arm with stupid things. Much less risk averse than his firstborn son, pointing at myself. He ended up working with the ex-financial director of DeLorean.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, well, what the hell was that like? And he goes like, yeah, I'm not going to get on his bad side. Basically implied that he was some kind of connected someone who had managed to escape the fallout from the DeLorean company and was still in business. Yeah.
Wow.
Best be on the best side of him. Yeah. I'm not even sure you can conclude that in the podcast for us. But That's really interesting.
But I think it's a nice touch that, you know, the DeLorean itself,
which still feels futuristic.
And in many ways, we are time travellers,
aren't we? Just yes, we are.
I guess that's it for this first inaugural episode of Tomorrow's World Audit Time.
Yeah, which may or may not be the name the future episodes have. Yeah.
See how well I do with the logo.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for listening, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.